Let me ask you, the German airspace in the 1950s, like Basel and others, not only Basel, others, let's say in ESA there's obituary for Jamila in NASA, in other countries. And some of these guys have these white eyebrows. Not some, all of them. At the universities in England, in Italy, in the UN, where she was born. Also, international. The brother of the mother, who's 96, was the dean of sciences at Warsaw University. He's 96. He said Polish intelligence represents pink academically, and Russia, the greys and blacks. So that's what the US lost on the coastlines in a space tech, July 20, 221. They hate me. They have pretenses for Disneyland because they don't like looking at their own assholes. Same with Egypt and Saudi Arabia. The cousin of the father was the head of sciences at Cairo University and the Ministry. Sciences. And in Saudi Arabia, they say greys and blacks, that family. So let's say that that's the male, yes? Let's say the father, and you're not looking at the jobs of the barons, they're directorates of humanitarian relief services. So someone flies on the mountains beyond the library, the Iranian hostage library, yeah? Then many times runnings on the hills. How many times? No breath. There's no breath in the original girl. And she's to come back and forth back. She's doing science on the coastlines in the meanwhile, defending the barons in Fresno. Then, with all the runnings back and forth, you smash her head on the roof and she comes back as Disneyland. Particular call got a bubble and I say, ah, bitch, I kill you, bitch, American. My PhD, but this, but that, I kill suckers. That's the Dr. Parrot. Cyclops. Backups for your crazies, for your real crazies, and for your cheerleaders. You didn't help your country. Your country lost scientists. Not some cheap-ass dark mission, huh? Comes once in a blue moon, Delph like that. You think she was alone? You think when they said ship to yacht, pin up girl and gone with the wind, she was alone? No. Those scientists ended up with the corporations in Western Europe. She was born in Rome and the United Nations, knowing that girl. She was a very quiet girl. She's not like me. I'm the opposite of the original Jamila. I've been holding on to the original for years. The problem was the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods. Berlin, Warsaw, Russia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Dar es Salaam neighborhoods in Egypt. Rome, London, even Berlin. Even my enemy is Berlin. German airspace is still speaking about a dead baby. Haufen, which is Nazi schemes, have 666 on their license plates. As a KGB, I say, why 666? Well, we are your enemies. But the Californian bitches, those holes, those Jews, those fucking animals, those killers on the coastlines, they just lost all the scientists, and that's all news on the news, gone with the wind, and they have pretenses, hating Disneyland. Hating me? You'll be crying for a cheap-ass dark mission on the coastlines. You won't be crying for us. Don't cry for me, Argentina. And that's the old news on the news, gone with the wind around the world, connected us with West with the corporations. They can empty as much as they want. Your fucking PhDs up your ass, piece of paper. And you're speaking about Delph. After smashing head on the coastlines, you had the audacity to bring back Disneyland and still be animals. The zoo with this one. That's your fucking official Dr. Parrots. I have to put up with humors. I don't have humors. I'm sick of you. Sick. You know what sick is? When you meet girls with 5X bra, nurses or federal prisoners in San Quentin, who call you ma'am, with assholes gaping and 5X bras, and you know they're Jewish, and you know they're stalking you, and there's no reason for that shit stalking you. They're basically themselves federal prisoners, and the Dr. Parrots in Germany, in Poland, in Italy, in London, in Britain are calling you horse. Literally to my face. The paperwork up to the wazoo of your assholes with their boyfriends. You're abusers. You're sick people. Bringing back Disneyland after The Hague as a stand-in puppy in the house just shows what a shit you are. You don't even remember the original Go Gone with the Wind. You're too stupid for that. Your PhDs can't reopen a shit of Jamila in Massachusetts, in DC, anywhere on the East Coast with her space tag, July 20th, 221. Literally, a plum and dawn. 101. But if the girl already had her head smashed in on the coastlines, what do you think I am? What do you think this paperwork is with Dirk-Jan van Dam? The Hague? The Bureau de Veritas pin-up girl? It's all news on the news. So when you started your hate, your Schadenfreude Jr., your judgment, why are you judging me? Why don't you judge your own assholes? Alive or dead? Literally. You don't need Disney now, you notice. We're going to have empty buildings at La Sapienza in Rome as a child with Tiziano Young. What can I do? It's empty. Those guys have white heads. That's the literature division, not the science division. With the Pomnomia. Sticking the UN corporations here coming from China. And you have prisons. Just the scientists went up ballooning. Share of the show when I met them those times. You had the intelligence before on the flyings on those times. You even had the intelligence on the runnings on the hills, 85, 85 on the coastlines. And then what happened? The girl had her head smashed in on the coastlines and you're still sitting there saying, oh, those guys left with a chip to your pin-up girl. I mean, when they say to you, you're a fucking retarded asshole. To Disney. And then the Disney has to be the messenger. No, Disney has to do all the crawlies, little crawlies with the guy. He has to do connect the those guys to the bus already. Fucking stressing himself. With those guys. And you're taking out on this one. You're in the house like a trickle in the house, isn't it? You're not worth shit, you are. Keep your PhDs up your ass. You need to reopen. None of the corporations. None of the space tech. None of this shit. Gone with the wind. The proverbial prophecy in the Vatican. Why? Because in the UN, where I was born in Rome, I was conceived in Saudi Arabia. I was born in Rome. Within the Vatican. Together with Laura Quintus and Natalie Direct, who are Supreme Court justices themselves in DC and in Brussels. Right? I grew up with them. Elementary, primary schools, middle school, high schools, ever since childhood. Okay, ever since, well, the flyings, the runnings, and the crawlies, little crawlies for this one. Okay? So why are you sitting there and say, I don't give a shit, I don't give a shit, I kill you, bitch. Why are you rude to me? I'm not Jewish. I am not Jewish. When you say to me, I'm Jewish, I'm not. I'm more Palestinian. A Russian, Polish, Saudi, Egyptian, Grandma Pinto, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Come on, missing link. And the UN, Italians, the Romans, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the Londoners, even the Germans are looking like you, like you stupid assholes. You smashed the ghost head in on the ghost lines and you want to know how they made blues? Do you know what kind of intel you lost on the ghost lines when you smashed her head on the ghost lines? I don't speak about that girl. What should I say? Hey, I'm the pin-up girl of a disaster zone on the coastlines, man-made, with bitches and assholes stalking me as Disneyland after July 2021 was emptied out. And that's smashing on the coastline. The only thing in common I have with the original is the eyebrows. Although, yes, there is some blue genetics, the blues, but I don't know how they did that. She must have been really good. Heavy science, Tiziano said. Heavy science. Still denying that. Still denying. But you will see some Dalmatian die. But he's cheap. You cheap assholes. That shit was busy flying and running. And it wasn't shit. Now it's shit. Now it's shit because of the Hague. That came from them. This is intelligence. This is Delft. This is not. I'm not a piece of paper. I just have a PhD. I got a limousine. I got many boyfriends. My girlfriend. My entire existence after the smashed in head on the ghost lines was about special schools, genetic schools in the UN. Have sex. That's why. Classic song. I should go sex at first. Because they were showing it. Masses was, you see, in the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods in Moscow. It was just one thing, London and Rome. It's one thing, Germany, like Western Europe, okay? And they speak about the blues. Or when they speak about phenomena as the space dead. But when you go home, also internationals. King Abbasid, for instance, from Saudi Arabia, had 4 PhDs in NASA. He bought the entire Chemaisky neighborhood in 2017 now. When they show to you what you are as people, you want miracles from the intercommunities. You lose the shit with the Hegel Noble science, and then you bring back from Phoenix Sans a dime negative genetics that you can't explain. Most Jews don't have their heads smashed in and come back as pink or blues, not even pinks. But I did. Why? Because of the kind of intelligence that girl had. You can't understand it because the only thing you could think about, Delph, is I have a PhD, I have boyfriends. When I died and came back as Disneyland, I had to do everything I didn't like. Marry a man I didn't like. Georgia Connor in New Hampshire, who could set Craft City. The parents are from New York, California. I had to connect the dots for wives to be pals with guys who I, quite frankly, wouldn't look at in Disney mode. I had to hang out with scientists that I had nothing against, I'm not saying. But, I wasn't myself. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even the blues, if that exists. Anyway, the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods, Egypt and Russia. And I'm not speaking about the consulates in Warsaw, Saudi Arabia, Cairo, Russia. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about when I'm actually with the poor people. Those people said, I thought she was dead. She died. But I remember some, and these are drunk people, in tents. And after 2-3 weeks, out of the cracks of the Dar es Salaam neighbors come out these blues. That look like they're FBI. Blues. So when this girl said to me, you see, the original girl was breaking airspace. It's like carrying not knowledge, it's something else in the head, okay? The flyings and the running. She works in the ghost science, specific science work, okay? Her parents are in retirement, for instance. And you grow up with that. You have this pain inside. Not yet pain, but a consciousness that it's in your head. And all the UN knows you, and London, and others. Then eventually, all those flyings and runnings, that girl has her head smashed in on the ghost lines. She comes back as Disneyland. They make blues. They say it's not the same person, motherfucker. No way you smash somebody's head on the ghost lines. That's a new creation of those scientists who were with her. How are you going to explain that to the Americans that a smashed in head on the ghost lines brings back blues? They're capable of that in the US, aren't they? There's science technology. The ship left, the corporations left. There was a disaster zone of science and tech on the coastlines, and you call me Bin Laden? I love Bin Laden. He's not the Mossad on your coastlines. What's good for your country? What's bad? Think about it. You genius? That's all news on the news. Nails. That's why you hate me. Because I tell you, like a Roman, like Disneyland to your face, you stupid, you idiot. And that's not even mentioning Papa and Mama in Fresno retirements. We do not have a Papa like me. You don't have a mother like me, Mama like me. You know who your papas and mamas are? In Fresno? Your ugliness. I saw all your ugliness in Fresno. I saw cheerleaders stalking me, federal prisoners, Schadenfreude Jr., Dr. Barrett's. They don't have a father and a mother like mine. Keep dreaming. You don't know what it means to be born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. You don't know the hardships of those places. You haven't even been to places like Cairo, Saudi Arabia, or Moscow in the capital cities. Forget about the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods. For me, by now. You haven't been in any of these places. You don't belong there. You don't even belong in the Eastern Bloc. You don't belong in Europe. You don't belong with the German aspects. You don't belong in the United Nations. You don't belong in Italy. You don't belong in England. I, on the other hand, am Disneyland by now with a smashed in head on the coastlines. I truly don't belong anywhere because I'm Disneyland. I'm not going to bother explaining this again. Therefore, that's what they were showing. But if you keep showing it that many times on the flyings, they said okay, because flyings after it's 92 and above, it's the mountains, we give it a break, and the rest of the stuff is on the coastline. But if you do that many running, eventually you're going to see something on the hills. Or something's going to crack on the coastline. Eggs are put. So don't start with me, genetics or not genetics. This is the whole shit. They're smashing it on the coastline. You ain't that intelligent. And I'm not Jewish. Sorry. To break your bubble. So there was a lot of insults. Not only insults. The Schadenfreude Jr. went too far. Because, man, this one, Disneyland, didn't deserve the psycho stalker. She didn't deserve the hate in Fresno, the hate in the US. She didn't deserve it. But I didn't have a choice. I came back as Disneyland after the smashed in heaven. That was the point. You lost it. If they made negatives somewhere else for the scientists in other countries, well, it's not the same person. Families included because they're deans of sciences. My cats. Poland, Russia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Western Europe. My cats are school somewhere. She's good in science at birth. They say she still is. Oh, it can't be the same girl. It can't be the original shining star that was doing all the new shit. That new shit is empty. Then you added the corporation. But if you add the corporations in the UN, you're fucked. That's it, you're fucked. That's why they call it a ship to yacht. That's why they brought back the dirt from the ghost lines. And they made it look rosy. And people are looking at the intelligence community and saying, okay, she may have been a mermaid, there was others, this, of course she wasn't doing it. Yeah, there was others, definitely. But if you have others, and then you say that's old news on the news. There's Prisoner's Dilemma of Gabor, there's Prisoner's Dilemma of Saeed, his reader, I'm Batman, that's old news on the news. And it's more than that for them. In other words, you made that girl do all those flyings and all those runnings so that Fresno can show its glorious tits and ass and intelligence to the rest of the world, their own intelligence, for them on retirement, on US soil. And then you wondered why the stuff on the coastline, you had pretenses. You had pretenses that the stuff on the coastlines that was haked, literally haked, came back like this or another blues or others as a pin-up gun. This, to us, is beyond redacted. And then still had people judging Disneyland, knowing that she was the facade of what had happened on the coastlines. And that's just high school. And in fact, she was already out of high school. High school didn't have Intel. High school was a free school, like one of the many international schools. It was London. It was the UN, yes. The UN elementary primary schools, yes, because they were the genetic schools. But that's how you learn. You learn when you're a baby. It's not that you learn when you're adult. It's not that you all of a sudden, when you're 18 years old, you figure out the shit. No, you learn when you're a baby. You literally are a trade pool in the house in this format. So don't have pretenses for the Intel communities. Delft, literally, Bilderberg Church, the New Kirk, and like literally the radio of Delft, like Clementine. So when the CIA saw this coming, because they had the intel before on the flies and the runnings, on the ghost lines, they don't have it anymore. So if you speak about traitors, either you use your brains or you go back to kindergarten. And I beg you to go back to kindergarten and stop sending me your cycles because you're not going to get anything out of the US. other than a extreme upset that you can't even contain yourself with Disneyland. Because you cried for Dark Mission, but you didn't cry for me. You are disgusted. That's why they say we're showing who they are, even through Disneyland. You don't need the blues to show you. There's many guys out there blues in this world, and believe me, this world don't need no more blues. It needed the beautiful girl, not the blues. But after the Hague, the geniuses managed to do blues and pink. Chonyatsu, after smashing head on the ghost lines. How am I going to explain that to people? How am I going to explain that to the average civilian? Well, German airspace is naming the obituary of Jamila. Onesa and Nasser. You are assholes. And that's the only news on the news gone with the wind. That's not even mentioning the barons of present. You, my fear, oh, you go back to school, or you get yourself a conscience brain or something, but to never cool, because now they're paying. Because now they're like, yeah, I can't take this anymore. You know, they're like, we're staying in Rome for retirement. They have radios. You tell me the intelligence of president. No, serious. And don't beat the baby back and forth on Greyhound. I have to go abroad all the time, during retirements, after retirement. On the electro crawlers, it's disgusting. Because there, that shit went. It's like, it doesn't matter where you go in London, or Rome, or Warsaw International. You want to go to Russia and Arabia? And beyond. In other words, for health, just to say it, Robert. And we put this one in between all of that. Plus the insults, plus the cycles, plus just think about problems. I mean, seriously, guys. You don't even know what happens on your own soil on the go side. Oh, well. I'm talking about Fresno, think about I know, because I'm Disneyland, I sound like a baby. I realize that. But I'm not exactly what you think I am. And if I ever become a prostitute, at least I'll be paid. Not, you know. Let's just stay around for it. What is it? So I know I sound like a bitch. But, you know. And when I'm in Rome, they already attempted to kidnap me 3 times. The third time, they almost managed. I think I was in my 20s or something. At Termini Station, always at Termini Station. Because the 4th time they tried to kidnap me was in the year 2000 when I was there. The Villa Eden thing done. Papa gave for 6 months, Mama for 3. And they died, they did. But they were Albanians. That's sweet. And the unfortunate part is that they were drunk. I mean, they're coming. The Albanians are coming. And there was like a group of them. They're drunk. Where's the baby? Where's the baby? We make sure stay here. And the parents stay here. I saw them. I even myself saw them from the balcony. And I was like, what? And Amedeo was running up there. No, that's not professional. They're drunk. And plus, their parents are really professional. But I don't believe it. Then I knew the Villa Head and shit, and parents came, and I was there. Here with them. Papa actually stayed not for a few months, he stayed for 6 months. Mama stayed for 3 months. So now you have the Scotland though. And let me say radio. You know what a radio is? A radio was invented about 200 years ago after the smashing head on the wall. They're not very science, you know. No outfits. I'm sorry, but now. In other words, the Disneyland stays in Rome for retirement. And if really miraculous news must nope. You know, and you know, because the whole of the body is also is a little for me by now at the very end. You know, what's the pink and rose and all this? It's just too much. It's too much. You should be Arrested Development. She had on the coastline. Pink standing. Twin pool in the house. Blues created by heavy asses. Familiars, corporations, and others. Man, the original. And you still hate Disneyland. Oh, fuck your cheap ass dumb mission, asshole. And that's not even mentioning the Barretts and Fresno. What's the scrambled egg back and forth at Disneyland between Fresno and Daisy on the Greyhound? You cheap asshole on all the crawlies of this one. And you couldn't have bombed Fresno? The intelligence of Fresno. You couldn't have. Just needed Disneyland like an organ. Of the smashing head of the sciences on the ghost lines, I tell you. Man, what you. And then you lose the shit on the ghost lines and you have pretenses. So many times. You don't even know what happens on your own soil, US. Best inside. The bestest place for retirement. I don't think so. Fresno. That was bomb Fresno. And give them the headache and that's it. Because they're giving between the license plates and the t-shirts all over the capital city since there was a time. Many times, and they continue. And then on the literal tourist and it's everywhere. So it's like one individual. It's like masses. Masses. As that London, Rome, also international. Many of them are intel, many of them are on laptops. Russia, Arabia's, London, most international. And many of them are not. Many of them are normal people with t-shirts. Or license plates. And that's what my goal is in Metropolis. So tell me, who's crazy? The Disney standard or your hating bitches and whores and cheerleading useless boyfriends? Schadenfreude juniors. Because that shit on the ghost lines is your fucking problem by now. I'm not going to make a problem out of that. It's gone. Gone otherwise. Goodbye.